Welcome to another episode of Life and Times with Tubbcity. As the host, I'm always grateful for the incredible guests we've had on the show who've left a lasting impression on my life. So today I want to talk about the company that's been making a difference in countless lives all across America. Pin Waste. PIN stands for Power in Numbers. Pin Waste is revolutionizing the way HOAs manage their waste and recycling services. They've developed the PIN app, which empowers HOAs to negotiate group deals for services like pest control, bulk item removal, trash can cleaning, and most importantly, trash and recycling. Think of Pin Waste as the perfect blend of Groupon and Nextdoor, designed exclusively for HOAs. Their platform allows communities to leverage their size and secure the best deals with vendors. I'm all about bringing value to your life, and that's why we partnered with Pin Waste. Ready to lower your waste bill and make a positive impact? Then just visit www.pinwaste.com and mention that you heard about them from the Life and Times with Tubbcity podcast. Their services are available nationwide, so everyone can join the Pin Waste movement. Save money, go green, and make a difference with Pin Waste today. Welcome back to another episode of Life and Times with Tubbcity. We got a special guest in coming from part 2, and we have some special hosts in here. Got DJ M. Dot, Miami Heat DJ, Jamie Foxx Tour DJ, and one of my best friends in the world. Thank you for coming, my brother.
And I'm still broke.
We don't believe that.
With all those accolades and titles and stuff, I still ain't got nothing in the bank. Let me hold something. I see the budget around here with the podcast, the new mic
$17 right now.
I'm gonna ask you for 18. I'm gonna one up you.
We also got one of my friends from years ago. She's amazing. She's in town, so she decided to come through and help co-host Dr. Good. She's a real doctor, people. And she's
but not like a medical doctor.
It doesn't matter. You got the D.
I do have the D.
First part of your name, and
true.
She's an educator extraordinaire, accolades out this world that I don't know. I just call her the Michelle Obama of Connecticut. So, but thank you for coming, Miss Dr. Good.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here, even though I didn't know I was going to be here until the drive over. But that's okay, because anything from my old friend there, that's all right. I'll come through.
And she got hands, just in case you hear the term doctor and think she ain't got no hands. She got hands.
I did meet him in a boxing gym. That's right. Yes. That's right.
Yeah, for clarification purposes.
Yep.
Run up on it if you want to in Connecticut.
Yes. And the reason we're here.
I swear this never happens. Oh, no. You pass me my phone.
Bro. All right.
So what are we supposed to do?
I know.
Nothing. I'm going to edit my ass out.
All right.
Oh. No, you don't want to be funny if you just walked in like and interrupted, and then we went back to it. That would be funny. Like, you should do that every episode. He should that should be a skit.
That's a thing.
He should forget something every episode. I swear to you, that'd be a great skit.
What'd he forget today?
Yeah.
And the reason we're here, Miss Marie Haines. Thank you for coming back. We were this is your part 2, because your part 1 backstory was actually the first episode ever recorded. It was supposed to be a test run, and it turned out to be one of the biggest episode that we have. So thank you for coming back.
Thanks for having
Life
me.
and Times with Tubbcity. So since your episode came out, the people of Leota, the people of Kansas, your friends everywhere, your network, what's been the overall consensus of your story? Because you had some great moments, but you also shared some things that were, very impactful in your life. What's been the consensus?
It's crazy because no one was supposed to hear that.
Yeah.
Too late.
Yeah. My parents, family hearing it for the first time.
Yeah.
Tons of feedback from people all over, honestly. Lots of women, just so positive and so encouraging.
You said you had someone come up to you like crying.
Yes. Yeah. Like the nail salon.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Wow.
And she said, I listened, and she gave me a hug and said she hadn't known what to say and was so glad to run into me. And so it's been great.
So that's good. I'm glad that something that wasn't supposed to be heard was heard, but then it was the good things that came about from it.
Did you ever like talk to anyone else about it? Or this was like the first time?
Like, yeah, when a couple of the things that I said, that was like, I was thinking I was just saying it to him, like second person in the world ever.
So this was kind of like a form of therapy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Did that have you re-therapize yourself? Is that a word?
We're going to make it one.
That's not a word. We can't be using that word.
We have a doctor in the building. We can't make up words.
Okay.
I will, yes, you go ahead. You can use that.
Can you re-reflect?
No, you can't. No,
Can
there's no re-reflecting.
Juco.
Can you? Did you need to go back to therapy?
No, it was therapy.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
So re-therapize, is that the word?
Yeah.
No, it was so good for me because it came at a point in time where it was just time to let some things go.
Yeah.
Air it all out, and it was great.
So what was one of the, well, there was a couple things, but what do you think was the most impactful thing for yourself? Not even the people. Like, what did it do to you when you, like, released or unpacked the luggage? Like, what was the thing that, because it helped other people, but how did it help you when you say it was therapy?
I think the part that I've gotten the most positive feedback about is about the sexual trauma. And just so many women saying, I thank you for being a voice. I wish I had the strength to do it. And so being able to talk back to those people and say, find your voice, address it, deal with it. I feel like that's been more therapy for them than it was for me, except for it came at a point where I felt comfortable for people to know my story and not scared that they would use it against me.
Oh, you were worried about that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'd been with him for about 15 years, and there were so many things that happened in our relationship that made me, because he knew a couple of those things that I shared. He was the only other person that knew. And so for him to use that against me almost as a form of emotional abuse, had kept me in a space that I didn't feel safe or comfortable. I wasn't going to tell anyone again.
You was going to take it to the grave?
Yep.
And then in that moment, though, when you released that, you said, you're the second person I've told.
Yeah.
And did you feel that release in the moment, or did it come when you saw the reaction from people?
No, I felt the release in the moment because no one else was supposed to hear it. So just saying it out loud was releasing it for me.
So there were a couple of things that happened, and the big thing for me was I see how motherly you are, and then the raising of, I've been there where you're raising someone else's kid. They're your kids, but they're not biologically yours. Like, that was a big thing for you, and the motherliness of yourself. Like, that's a huge thing to step up and do that. And it seemed like you did it in a pretty good manner. And then it was kind of like, would you say stripped from you, or you just dissolved it, or what? Like,
yeah, man, that's so tough, because when we did the first part, that was like in June. That was only like 6 months out from trying to adjust to life as two, like a family of two from a family of five. Yeah. I talked a little bit in the first part about how the oldest, Jackson, I'd been around, like, he's 16 now. I'd been around for almost 15 years. Yeah. And so helping raise him, and I'm really good friends with his mom. I think I mentioned that. That's the reason that I stayed. A lot of people don't know more details of the marriage, but I really grieved. Probably one of the hardest things I've ever been through was the divorce. And it wasn't because I lost him. It was because I lost Jackson.
Wow.
And I lost Grayson. And even though Grayson came the way he came about, he was 5 at the time. And of course, my ex was having an affair and had the baby out while we were still married. Even in that scenario, like, I missed him so much. It was so hard for me to lose him, and still is so hard. We actually get to still see him every once in a while, but and same with Jackson. You know, he's a teenager, he's busy, but that's been the hardest thing is losing them per se.
How did you replace? Did you try to replace, or did you just reinvent your daily routine?
You know,
How do you deal with that?
I think this time, because my ex and I had separated before, I'd filed for divorce before, but I never cut ties with the boys before. So I continued to have my same role with them, which always drug me back in. And so this time, I think for myself, I had to step back and say, you know, I needed to be real with what my life was going to look like and what was healthy for me, and also what was healthy for the boys.
Gotcha. You did that. How did your biological son go? Was it something for him?
Jay, oh man. Jay struggled really. He really struggled at first because, you know, he was the one out of the three that had dad coming home every night, his whole life. I mean, home every night, you know, living in the same home his whole life. And so for him, and then the other two came back and forth. So for him, I feel like it was the biggest adjustment because, you know, dad wasn't around at all. And it was the first time for him. And then brothers weren't coming. And he's like, what is going on, Mom? Fix it.
Yeah.
You know, give me my life back. He would say that all the time. I just want my old life back. So, you know, going through what I was going through and then trying to.
So you got double duty.
Yeah.
Double stress.
Absolutely.
Because you're grieving for yourself, but you're also grieving for your son.
Yes, and because I had him full time, and he really wasn't seeing his dad a lot at the time. I really felt like I couldn't grieve. I mean, I grieved, you know, when the lights were off.
Yep.
But I had to be so strong all the other time, and so it took me a while really to get through that.
So you said something about your oldest stepson, you're cool with her mom. His mom, and then the youngest stepson, you're cool. That's, for me personally, that's not normal.
No.
That everybody's cool, but how did you...
They're from a small town, though.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to see each other.
Everybody know everybody.
You're going to see them.
50 people graduated in her class.
Hey, it wasn't
I
that
text
town.
50 people today alone. Go through my phone. There were 50 text messages today alone.
Yeah. we don't get along. But how did you... was that natural, or did that progress?
I am a super non-confrontational type of person, and I'm very easy to get along with. So with Jackson's mom, at first, we weren't like friends from the beginning, but we became very good friends over time because really from the jump, her and I met to exchange. I mean, he was like 1.5, 2.
Yeah.
And we exchanged, it was just her and I, and we figured out the schedules because they couldn't communicate. And so it was really easy. And she's amazing. She's easy to get along with too, and friendly. And naturally, we just, I don't know, we didn't have to try hard to get along. Of course, with the second's mom, that was much more complicated because in my mind, she had an affair with my husband. She had a baby while I'm married. And so her and I didn't get, I mean, I never was confrontational with her, but there was a long period of time when I didn't put myself in a situation to be around her because I didn't want to be disrespectful and I didn't want to put Grace in a bad situation.
When you say in your mind, you know, when I say in my mind, I'm making whatever I'm thinking right. So is in your mind what it really was?
No. I mean, so fast forward to today, and her and I have had conversations and, of course, have to communicate. We don't have to, but we do communicate for the boys. Yeah. And we have found a friendship in that because he's put us through a lot of the same things. I was just the wife, and she was just the one that thought she was going to be a wife, I think.
So this is a lot.
Yeah.
Because even you talk about, we went through like your childhood to adolescence to young adult trauma, but then it's still considered trauma, even though it looks like divorce or breaking up or just raising kids. It's still trauma. So you're still like was going through it even during the process of your separation or divorce.
Yeah. I mean, I'll talk about the real trauma of it. So we had went to Mexico. I didn't even know we were having any problems. I mean, we bickered.
Just when you were married?
Yep.
Okay.
Still married. Go to Mexico in September. We have a huge fight in Mexico. We come home. And he would always say, I mean, I'm not perfect. And I think in the first part I mentioned, I mean, I did love him and I was a good wife. Mm-hmm. And so I would say things like, I felt devalued because I did everything. When it came to the boys, all the transporting back and forth. There were times when I would go, I remember a time when Jay had a football game in Hutch, or maybe one of them had a football game in Derby, which is like an hour away. Take that one to the football game and then have to drive to McPherson because the oldest one has a football game. Then he forgets his shoes. We have to like be early. We're on a time crunch. Get back. I would do that not for football, but for basketball. I remember dropping Jay off at a basketball practice, driving to McPherson to drop Jackson off at practice, coming back to pick Jay up, and then having to get back to. And you guys don't understand the logistics of it, but
that's like,
it's only
that's Fort Lauderdale to Miami, Fort Lauderdale to Miami.
Tripping.
And then I would say I would like
traffic.
They're not going.
Yeah, they're not going. They're gonna miss this practice.
No, they got.
I mean, and they're young, right? So it is.
They're gonna miss this.
Yeah.
They're gonna miss this practice. Yeah.
And so.
Gotta have snacks in the car.
He was offensive lineman
They
anyway.
might get hungry.
I am the youngest one who needs fed, and
Right.
I'm
He didn't have
shuttling
no
the-
skill position. He was the O-line. He was on the line.
Number one, he's the quarterback.
In the outfield playing that. Yeah.
Not to mention, this is at the end of a work day, and then I would say, like, man, it was a lot. And he's like, well, we got to do what we got to do. You know, but it was never him doing
Calm
it.
down, doctor. Calm down, doctor.
Where's that weed?
Yeah.
Where's that weed?
So, and then, you know, homemade food, house is clean all the time, laundry's done. He doesn't, you know, help with that stuff, period. And then he would say, well, all you do is bicker, or all you do is bitch. And I would say, well, you know, you don't appreciate it.
might
Well,
get
if you're
no
just
help neither.
Yeah, yeah. And then he would say, well, if that's how you're going to be, I don't want to be here. And so we're in Mexico, like those type of problems. I didn't see those as deal breakers, right? Because this is even after the baby.
Not even flags though. Like,
Right.
he's trying to plant seeds.
Right.
Like, I'm
That's
trying
a scapegoat.
to.
Oh,
Right,
sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we go to Mexico. We get in a big fight. We come
On
home.
vacation.
Yep, on vacation.
Never
A vacation that I had waited about 3-4 years for.
Did you pay for it?
He actually paid for
Oh, I was
this
gonna
trip,
say,
so
he
I can't
paid
take
for it.
that
I'm
away
like,
from
throw
him.
this whole-
But
throw this whole goddamn
okay.
council away.
Let's also add.
We're done here, Jose.
Yeah, we're done.
Walk in again, Jose.
Yeah, we're done.
Can you please clearly state that you did not pay for the
Yes. Okay,
For the record.
but let's also add COVID in there. So when COVID started, I remember it was in March, and we were supposed to go away for my birthday, just like out of town hotel night adults. That was going to be the first time in 2 years I had been without a kid at night. The first time. And we'd had it planned. I'm watching March Madness, Big 12 tournament, shut it down. And all of a sudden, so we don't get to go on the trip. Mexico happens 2 years later. So we hadn't even been out as adults in almost, it felt like 4 years. I don't know if that's exactly how long it was, but it was awful. Yeah. So he's paying for Mexico, right? So I'm excited. We go, have this huge fight in Mexico, come home. It was on a Saturday night. We got in late. My mom had been there with the kids. She left Sunday morning. We're like mowing and doing laundry on Sunday. And he's like, I don't know what he said, something. And I was like, man, that's all you do is complain. And he's like, oh, here you go, bitching again. He's like, this is why I don't want to be here. And I was like, if you don't want to be here, then leave. And he left.
Oh, yeah, he went to go see.
Yep. So he leaves. But for 3 weeks, he left
for 3 weeks?
He packs a bag, he leaves, right?
He had that packed bag. He had it ready.
But,
That was in the car.
It was in the trunk.
He didn't unpack from Mexico.
But the 3 weeks is that he let me feel like for 3 weeks He's like, you gave up on our marriage. We said we'd never use the word divorce. And I'm like, I didn't say divorce. And then he said, you kicked me out. He told everyone that I kicked him out.
That's the definition of gaslighting.
Gaslighting, narcissist, right?
That's it, for sure.
And we know you know.
I know.
Thank you, doctor. Doctor said it. It's true.
It's true.
The doc said
That's a real word, gaslighting.
Okay.
Yes.
That's not the good.
Yeah.
Hey.
I'm here all week, guys. I'm here all week.
So tells everybody I kicked him out. It was like 3 weeks later, I get messages from this girl. And she says, hey, by the way, you really need to leave him this time. And tells me that she'd been in a relationship with him for like 2 years. So we go back, like I'm going back in my mind to what was happening about the time that she said they were seeing each other. And I had to have a hysterectomy. Wow. So let's talk about another time that I was low. We talked part 1, low number 1, low number 2. This was like low number 3. It was a really hard time for me because I had wanted another baby so badly. And the hysterectomy was like the finality of it's never going to happen. So I think Grayson was about 3 at the time. After Grayson comes along, of course, he's like, oh, you want another baby? Let's have another baby. I'm like, no, I'm not going to have a consolation baby. I didn't really want 3 kids. I definitely don't want 4. You know, we had been done at 2 was our agreement. So I have the hysterectomy and I just really go through it after that. I was so devastated that, you know, that part was gone forever. Yeah. And then to find out that he'd been with this girl while I was going through that. And really what the exclamation point on going through that of not only having another baby was that I'm raising 3 boys and I only got to have 1. And it had nothing to do with the fact that I didn't love those boys like so much. I just, you know what's crazy is that I wanted to be pregnant again. I just wanted to have one more. I wanted to go through that twice. And so then to find out that he'd had that affair during that time, like that was like the final straw for me. I just knew, like, fuck you.
So you get the text message from the girl. Mm-hmm. So she was okay with whatever was going. Like she was okay with being the side chick.
I think
for 2 years.
Okay,
she got
was this
fed
the
up.
same side chick with the baby?
No.
Oh, this
is different. One. This is a different one.
The town is small.
And actually,
people, we are now down to 45.
Oh no, he found a bigger market this time because he'd been working in Wichita, which is a little bigger than 50.
Okay. Yeah, Wichita big.
But she, I believe, found out about the current affair, which I didn't know about at the time. And she was mad. No.
So she found out about the new affair.
I need cliff notes.
She was mad. So she started texting everybody.
So the babies, the youngest mom, meanwhile, has moved on. Okay. Now is remarried, has another child, which her story is crazy what he put her through herself. Then this girl finds out about the one when we get back from Mexico and he leaves. I knew there was somebody else. Yeah. I just didn't know who. So when this girl reaches out to me, I believe that she found out about her.
The current,
who he went with, who he had gone with. Oh, and she was like, I'm about to put everybody on blast.
Yeah. And what she said is, she said, listen, he's good. And I fell for him. And I am devastated. And she's like, he's had a baby on you. He's done all that. She knew my whole story. She knew about our trip to Mexico because the first thing that happened when we got to Mexico is he dove in the sea and he lost his Quelo ring. And she's like, he did that on purpose. And she's like, if you could hear the things that he's saying about you, you would just be devastated. So I was kind of like believing some of the things she said and half questioning things that she said because I didn't know what her goal was. Yeah. I'm like, what's going on? Mm-hmm. And of course, he's like, she's crazy, blah, 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 puts it all on her.
It is.
Oh, I confront him. No, it's but I don't really confront her until fast forward a couple weeks or several weeks later, then I find out about the current one, which is who he's with now.
Next question.
Well,
As the world turns. It's like the younger the rest.
Days of our lives.
All of it. Yeah.
So what happened to the one who texted you?
I don't know. I hope she hears this because
Thank you.
I really have wanted to say that to her.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, absolutely. If she wouldn't have messaged me, I don't know if I would have been done at that point.
That's what I was about to ask.
You would have stayed for the kids, the family aspect of it.
I mean, even after he left and I saw what life was going to be like for the boys, man, I every day, 1,500 times a day, I would think I can't leave because I can't handle this.
You felt a burden for them.
Yeah.
That you didn't want them to go through.
I didn't,
That's not even like a burden. That's that love. And if you,
Yeah.
and when you came to the point of not being able to bear children anymore, not like to give up the 2 children that you have been in their lives from the beginning, that's understandable why you hold on.
And
to
for
that.
me to be 100% honest, I even told him at the time, I'm like, you know what? If you want to do what you want to do, and I keep this home together for the boys, then I'd do it, because I knew I could see exactly what was going to happen, which is what has happened. And the boys have seen each other. He hasn't seen Jackson since September, and they live 30 minutes apart. He's seen Grayson. Grayson's came and spent the night with us twice since June. It's hard.
So mentally, let's say marriage, you were done mentally, but you were still there for the kids. When was the point that you said, I have to put a boundary and stop effort with the kids? What was the moment of that?
So Thanksgiving had come, and Jackson went with Jay and I for Thanksgiving. And ex-husband had said, you know, the whole time he's still saying he wants to get back together. He doesn't want to get divorced. So he's saying, man, Gray really wants to see the boys. Whenever he would see the boys, he was so focused on me, he really didn't pay attention to the boys, but the boys at least got to see each other. And so...
And you recognized this at the time, or you recognized this?
Oh, no, I knew. And at this time, I had become very calculated because I knew there was someone else on top of this girl. And so I was just like...
Wait, and he's trying to get back with you.
Absolutely.
You know how that works. You use the kids. That's a little leverage. Hey, come on. Hey, bring the boys over. You come over. He in the robe, butt naked.
Yep, exactly.
The potato chips.
I was talking about seeing the kids. And he out there on the couch, butt naked.
Absolutely.
What you doing?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
you know how
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just got out the shower. Hey, right there. That's
And then,
a velvet robe.
With some cowboy boots on. It is Kiss. Right there, that's hook, line, and sinker.
It didn't work.
No, it didn't. Thank God it didn't work.
well, at the time it worked.
I've done that before. Let's talk about some things. Yeah, come over.
At the time
I
it
remember
worked.
Skimpies.
Yeah.
I just did 150 push-ups. I'm sweating. I got the Jaheim sweat, like the D'Angelo sweat down my body. Yeah. And then you like,
Yes,
then it's
kids,
over.
go play upstairs. Go play upstairs.
Over after that.
I just bought him a Nintendo. They good.
This is terrible.
All right.
Got some books upstairs. My daughter don't even read.
Okay, maybe it works a couple times. But
It does.
y'all keep doing it, so it works a couple times.
It does.
But we get smart. We get smart.
Yeah.
We get better.
Oh no,
You got
but
smart.
what I got was calculated.
Oh right. All
so
right.
I fell into that trap and I started documenting it because I knew I had never used anything he'd done. Like I'd never confronted another woman. I'd never been
you
like
were
that.
like, I'm gonna
and
take a
I
picture
was-
of you in the robe, and I'm gonna text it to your side
rest
chick,
of it.
Yes.
and I'm gonna let them all know.
I
that's what
absolutely did.
That's what you mean by documenting?
Oh yes, like I mean actually documenting.
Oh, wow.
Calculated.
And so that was after Thanksgiving, and Jay's birthday is the very 1st of December. So I find out about this other one who I had pretty much knew
This the texter?
doing my investigated.
This is the texter?
No, this is a different one.
Just give me a brief. Does he got a lot of money?
No.
Is he talented? Is he a singer or
No.
what does he do?
Good looking?
Yeah, he's good. I mean, he's good looking. He's a
gotta do
friendly guy. No, I mean, he's not.
He's a male jiggler. He got them all. He got them all.
You know what's crazy?
50 people. 50 people.
It's a little bigger than 50 people. But, you know, I was talking to the youngest one's mom, and I told her the craziest thing about it is that out of the 3 moms, because he has 3 baby mamas now, and he's with a woman who has 3 baby daddies now.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So imagine that Christmas. Which I would joke, I would like throw little jabs in there after I found out about her about that. And I mean, out of the 3 baby mothers, we are genuinely good, strong, independent women.
Y'all should start a book club.
Well, yeah, we should write a book. A support group, write a book.
You should.
Be on a podcast.
You should.
Y'all can write a book, and each person has their own part.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
In the one book.
Yeah.
And then you go give it to his girl.
You know what's funny though is that, you know, I
read this first.
But I gave her the blueprint. I did. This is the first one that I actually spoke to. And I told her, listen, your whole relationship's built on a lie. Because I confronted her and I'm like, what are you doing with my husband? And she's like, you're not married. She called me a liar.